Understanding the essence of the standards and the performance level descriptors is essential to understanding the standards themselves. You will use this information to determine where your focus students performed in the language samples you collected. In the face-to-face session, we reviewed the California ELD standards in your Standards at a Glance. The first side is the Part 1, Interacting in Meaningful Ways. Notice the three modes: collaborative, interpretive, and productive. The strands, which are the K-12 explanation of the standard, and the Common Core Standard connection. In this case, speaking and listening, the grade is Kinder, and it is the first standard, so Part 1A1. Proficiency levels, emerging, expanding, and bridging. Note the shading, how it decreases as the scaffolds decrease. The language of the standards, which is the actual descriptors for each level. Part 2, learning about how English works, has three processes: structuring cohesive texts, expanding and enriching ideas, and connecting and condensing ideas. The strands are listed there as well, and the Common Core Standards connection. Proficiency levels are listed from emerging to expanding to bridging, and the language of the standards below those. Also note that at the bottom you'll see the Part 3 foundational skills, which apply to ELA standards that are necessary for our English learners. But let's unpack the California ELD standards in the SPF 1.0. Of course, the SPF 1.0 first measures how a conversation unfolds in two dimensions. Dimension 1, how turns build on previous turns to build up an idea, and Dimension 2, how turns focus on the knowledge or skills of the conversation objective or teacher prompt. In this case, the two strands are Part 1, A1, collaborative, exchanging information and ideas, and 4, adapting language choices. But let's dig into what these standards mean. And as well, interpretive for Dimension 2 and productive for Dimension 2, reading and viewing closely, and selecting language resources. So all these standards are represented in your Standards at a Glance, and of course these 4 standards are in the SPF 1.0. So let's look at the essence of these standards in the SPF 1.0 by starting with that Part 1 A1 standard for 5th grade. So the standards were written at the expanding level and scaffolded up and down depending on student need. In this case, let's look at the expanding descriptor and find those 3 to 4 key words in order to understand the essence of this standard. We have contribute to discussions would be what this standard is mostly about. So now what you will do is read the California ELD standards at the expanding level for the 4 standards in your SPF. You're going to look across the standard from emerging to bridging for those commonalities and highlight the 3 to 4 word essence of each standard at the expanding level. So you'll read each of those 4 standards on page 2 and highlight the similarities that capture the essence of each of the 4 standards. Good luck and enjoy.